when we think about mindfulness, we think about sitting cross-legged in a dark room, maybe with candles lit and incense burning, in a quiet space where we truly just have to remain still. Well, on today's episode of Thrive Forward, we welcome JC Lippold, who is a mindset and movement coach. JC created a community called 5K Everyday Conversations that allows us to be present, mindful, creating connection with others, while also moving our bodies in a sense that we might not ever think we were possible of doing. For instance, have you ever told yourself, I'm not a runner? I said that to myself in early 2020. I've never ran a 5K. And then I went one day to 5K Everyday Conversations on Boom Island, and I did just that. I ran a 5K with JC and several other individuals from 5K Everyday Conversations, and we were able to connect, move our bodies, and be present. Sometimes being mindful is all about being present. So stay tuned and be present within this conversation with JC Lippold. JC, thank you so much for joining the Thrive Forward podcast. We met via a fellow guest on the podcast and a dear friend to both of us, Jesse Ross. And then you had me participate in some conversations, which is, I want to say, like, you're the king of conversation. In creating it, creating safe spaces for it, cultivating relationships for people to have those conversations. So I'm so excited for us to be here doing exactly that today.
There's no place I'd rather be than right here, right now.
Yes. I didn't say this to you beforehand, but I love your painting in the background. For those of you that are not watching and you're listening, you should go over to the YouTube and watch, because your painting is totally on Forethought brand. Like,
well, and funny enough, it's connected to how we met. So the set of conversations that we engaged in for Northside Conversations Connections, Sean G. Phillips, who is also a part of that, made some paintings for this weekend event of using the power of conversation and movement to shine light on North Minneapolis. And this is one of the pieces he made. So I got to keep one of the things that we raised up that weekend. So I got a little Sean G. Phillips over my shoulder at all times.
Oh, it's so awesome. And you have your piano in the background, and you I like to think about you, JC, as somebody that brings a lot of my worlds together too. Music, I don't know if you know this about me, is a huge part of how I grew up. My grandfather was in radio for NPR. He was on the radio for like 40 years or something.
Oh, wow.
Like that. Probably more than that. Mom, sorry, you can correct me. Like his whole career. And so jazz music was like this huge thing that I grew up on. And Ella Fitzgerald and all of that, the jazz greats were what filled my soul growing up. And so music is great. And then like moving our bodies and being healthy, and then conversation. So like all of these wonderful things about you, I feel like are things that are so prevalent in my life. So share with us how you bring all of those passions together.
Yeah, people often, the question that keeps me up at night, and I've been working on this every day of my existence, the question of, so what do you do? Some people have the joy of being able to say, here's my job, or here's where I work. And I, as a small child, I always kind of looked at my mom, who was a homemaker, and my dad, who would leave to go work and then come home, and there'd be a home there. I'm like, I really like the idea of making home. So when people ask what do, I always say I'm a homemaker. I love making space that is safe, that is sensical, that's what people need it to be, so they can amplify and actualize the things that are going on in their lives. So if I think of, I facilitate movement, or I use music as a tool, or things like conversation, which may be seen as a neutral valued commodity. We raise these things up and we put them in environments where maybe there's a deficiency, and these things that are perceived as magical, or as, oh, like Shannon, you're just so magical. And of course, in your mind, you're like, I'm methodically magical. There's things that I do on purpose that often will breed magic. And in that same way, using these tools in spaces where they're often absent creates some pretty powerful things.
Yeah. And in the beginning of 2020, you combine some of those things in the dead of winter, might I add, for those people who I used to say this, and JC has since corrected me. I used to say I'm not a runner, and and JC got me out on my first run this summer. So let's talk about 5K everyday conversations.
Yeah. So, I was a youth director for a long time, within a lot of realms. And then one day I broke my back, and that shifted my work more and more from working with creating space for young people to creating space for all ages of people, through movement, right? And if we look at health and wellness is a consistently underperforming industry that serves such a small portion of humanity, when in reality, health and wellness professionals, fitness people, probably save more lives than doctors do, right? We have the way of dealing with preventative care and things that people can embrace on their own. But how many people do not feel welcome, do not feel,
don't feel good enough.
Yeah.
They're not the right shape. They're not the right size.
It's all of it, So I was the kid who, would fake injuries every track and field day, every asthma attack, every sprained ankle. And it was because I was not enough as a boy. If I was not athletic and if I was not able to be outwardly competitive and enjoy that, I was deficient. So I became a tennis player, so I could still be kind of in my own way athletic, but not have to, deal with people. And of course, I found in the great sport of team tennis that what amplifies everyone's individual capacity is doing it together, which sooner or later led me to look at running in a different lens. Because if there's any physical act that separates people more and more, it's the act of running. Running is a very elitist viewed act. And when someone who's not a runner all of a sudden becomes a runner, their family and their friends go, "Who are you? I don't even recognize you anymore." And of course they're now like, "Oh no, like you just need to," and of course it puts them on the other side of the divide. So 5K Everyday Conversations was an idea to remove the words "I am not a runner" from common language by creating daily opportunities for people to move at a conversational pace. And we're 350 some days in by this point, and we'll be continuing on well into 2021 and beyond. But still, every single day, I use the phrase, "Hey, we move at a conversational pace," and they go, "Well, I don't want to slow anybody down." And I go, "No, like we move at the pace of conversation. So if we are walking our 5K, great. We call that running. Running is an act that changes the movement of your breath, the state of your mind, your solubility to taking things in, like nature and fresh air and company of other human beings. So every single day this year, in one way or another, we've held space for conversation to exist. And every single day, someone goes, "Wow, wow," and then they like ... and they don't know what to say next, because they're mesmerized by what happens when people who don't know each other just start talking. And we're often, people, may look at us as a run group. I always say, well, we're a conversation group that runs, because like runners will show up and they will do a 5K with us, and then like a lot of quote quote runners will then go and get their run in. Like they'll do a 5K everyday conversation, then they will go do their run. because there's a lot of things that have, very low price tags on them, yet we put them on the highest of shelves, and we forget that they're there. So we wouldn't have met if it wasn't for 5K Everyday Conversations this year, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I think at some point in time we would have, because there's so many people that JC and I met and we friended on Facebook. We're like, how do we have this many friends in common, but we haven't met yet? It's amazing what our small yet big community in the Twin Cities brings together. And then, with all of the conversations that have happened, I mean, when you started this in January, would you have thought that you would have had to cover as many topics in conversations, both, strategically planned, like the Northside Conversation series that you did, but also the conversations that probably mean the most, which is what happened on, the side of the road or the sidewalk, all of the topics that we've had this year?
Yeah, it's interesting, because if we think about, where people find value in their lives, it's often worked out in those galvanizing moments of conversation, of messy conversation, of seeing something on the side of the road when you're driving on down, or watching TV and a commercial sparks a synapse in your brain that makes you think of something. 5K Everyday Conversations, could not have maybe existed in a better time for its first year, because like in March when we went in the first shutdown, we stopped meeting in person for a little while, and we shifted the conversations onto Facebook Live. And then when we got into April, and all these conversations of mental health, which thankfully are being normalized more and more, but they're being amplified and raised up. We're like, well, hey, what if we did a 50-hour marathon conversation, where we kept a space where people could literally come to Facebook and there would be a conversation they could weave into. So we had 100 people, 30 minutes at a time, 50 hours in a row, hold space for conversation. And it literally took me being like, hey, we're doing this. We had people in Calgary, in Vancouver, in Delray Beach, Florida, in New Mexico, in Texas, in California, like, oh, hey, I'll sign up. Hey, I'd love to do it. And within a snap of a finger, we had this movement. I think there's like 40,000 views on these conversations, and people are like, wait, so you're gonna have conversation like 2 a.m? And I go, yeah, how many people wake up right now in the middle of the night, scared, anxious, panicky, and to be able to be, offering this, masterfully like creative gift of offering conversation. It's this thing. It's like, well, what do people need? We've been able to, provide space during the election, during the murder of George Floyd, during the pandemic, during snow, during Oprah, during ice, during sun, during Vikings wins and losses, Twins, like all the things, I always love, like, people will poke at Minnesotans because we love talking about the weather. And it's kind of in my nature to go, yeah, we do. Why do we do that? And I think the reason we love talking about the weather is in Minnesota, the weather is always changing. Mm-hmm. We are attuned to the changes that are happening in our lives. And if we don't have pathways to be able to speak about them, we get constipated, we get cranky, we like literally our physical posture.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like we curve in on ourselves. So it's this daily opportunity for people to uncurl. And I think that's why, when we originally set out, it's like, oh, this is going to be every day in 2020. But in the back of my head, I'm like, there's no way this is going to be able to stop, because it's not really, it's a thing because we point at it and say, this is a thing. But the big aha is that what we're creating is not something that we're creating at all. Like, there's more and more people, we're in a shutdown again right now, so we're not holding listed daily in-person conversations, but every single day people are finding their people that they can be outside distanced with. And they're saying, I can on my own do things that are good for myself and good for other people, like saying, hey, how are you? There's one time I raised up the idea. It's like, this really is the practice of finding as many strangers as possible and spending time with them. And the great difficulty in that is the more strangers you find, the less strangers there are. It's just like, yeah, it's interesting because people want to be like, oh, I'm a part of this thing. And I go, and this brings me back to my youth directing days. The more you're a part of something like 5K Everyday Conversations, the less it's about you, and the more it's about the people who aren't here yet. Which that's antithetically, like, that is not something you put on the posters. It's like, hey, join this group, and sooner or later it won't be about you. It's just like, we're not going to cater to you. And people love that. Like, people love knowing that they become the person who creates this for other people.
Yeah. I mean, I remember asking you, like, okay, JC, so now I'm a part of this. Can I invite other people that I know? And you're like, absolutely. And that was, I mean, I think of some of my really good friends who run more than I do. I am a runner, but it's cold outside and I have temperature restrictions. So you can find me on my Peloton bike and we will work out there together. But that is where I will be, but I will join you when the weather gets nicer again. But I just think about, you mentioned so many great things in that last part where you were speaking, where I think about how that connects to my work and what I do. And I tell my clients all the time how important their mental and their physical health play a part in their wealth, and why it's so important to have conversations with each other. If you're partners, how are you having conversations about what's going on in your life? Well, how are you having conversations about your values and your beliefs and how that falls into line with what it is that you're executing from a financial standpoint? A lot of times when people that sit down with me, they're like, oh, I didn't expect such a philosophical financial advisor. But at the end of the day, you can create all of this wealth, but if you're not healthy, both physically and mentally, how are you experiencing your life? And I think the mental part of it and the physical part have come to light so bright in 2020. I mean, our financial gaps have also definitely come to light in 2020, but the fact that you are making space for these conversations with absolute strangers to happen, how have you made it to this place where you create safety, and how do you see that playing out in other people's lives? Like, how has this positively impacted more than just you? What are some of the examples, like the Northside conversation aspect of things?
Yeah, I have a great gift in the fact that I struggle and always have with debilitating panic issues. That it's become this almost compass for me. I walk into any place and I feel incredibly uncomfortable until all of a sudden I don't. So as that's my lens as I walk into these conversations, it almost as I look at the world, I see things glow, where perhaps there are opportunities for other people who may be in large ways or small ways be experiencing similar things. We've referenced it a couple of times, but we haven't kind of chatted. After the murder of George Floyd, I took a look at 5K Everyday Conversations. I'm like, who is not a part of our conversations? We looked very white. We looked very there's things because we were passively putting this into the world and allowing the systems in which the world can take things like this and be like, oh, here's where it's going to be juxtaposition. And all of a sudden I go, I grew up in Brooklyn Center, which is the second most often listed portion of the Twin Cities to be from, behind North Minneapolis. The thing I've always known that's true is 99% of people go, ooh, North Minneapolis. And also 99% of people have never, ever actually spent a darn moment in North Minneapolis.
Right.
So all of a sudden I'm like, okay, let's raise light, let's raise opportunity, let's create connections in a space that most people probably aren't doing it. And in opportunities like that, you know, we found and embraced, you know, 12 voices to create a 6-hour conversation. We created virtual courses for people to move through North Minneapolis. The people who are leading those conversations, either their own businesses or their own ventures, we purchased their commodities, and to people who engage in these conversations, we're like, hey, now connect with them, now engage in them with them. And of course, like from the outside looking in, like Shannon, like you said, like what's grown out of this, people are like, wow, this is amazing. And I go, often the products of really simple things, yes, they are amazing, but the work is pretty darn simple. You know, like literally, so here's how Shannon and I met. Me and Jesse Ross are sitting at a picnic table in Robbinsdale for 22 minutes. We were able to carve out 22 minutes to be in conversation. And we're like, okay, who else in conversation? And boom, boom, boom. Okay, and this. Oh, and I'll send Shannon's you know, phone number to you. And, you know, Shannon would be great. I'm like, cool, Shannon would be great. I'm like, hey, Shannon, you'd be great. And all of a sudden, boom, there we go. Right through your guys's established energetic pathway, you know, I was able to go, wow, my panic and anxiety doesn't exist right here. Enter on in. And I'm telling you, there's people who talk about what 5K Everyday has offered them. And in the same way, they go, like, I have found myself, I have found connection, I have found what I was looking for that I didn't know I was looking for. I'm telling you, the depth of conversations that exist on 5K Everyday is it's astounding.
Mm-hmm.
Like when people who do not know each other start moving together, and knowing that this is going to exist for anywhere between 30 minutes and an hour, like the things they're willing to share. There's one conversation, and without any specifics, two people who literally were like best of friends for decades and decades. They were running within the same little cohort of people. And one of them said, yada, 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 yada. And the other person was like, I never knew that about you. Like literally it took a space like this to take a very established relationship and to expose it into a new environment to go ahead and grow what was already strong. And I think of that in a large context. You know, the ideas that have been born and the conversations that have been started. You know, when you talk about investment, it's going to be really amazing to see in 2021 and 2022 what sprouts from simple conversations that existed, you know, on a Saturday morning at 5 a.m. in North Loop, or a 4 a.m. conversation, you know, running down West Broadway on a Wednesday morning.
Yes.
It's Wednesday mornings became our biggest run. Literally, North Minneapolis at 4 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, we'd have 25 people showing up. Mm-hmm. And of course, the idea of like, I am not a runner, like these people aren't showing up to run, or they're not only showing up to run, but the things that have created this urge or this desire or this motivation to be a part of something. I often say like 5K Everyday days, it's a movement, mm-hmm. right? And not only movement, like let's burn some calories and build some muscles, like, no, like let's be moved. Like, let's do something that makes us feel something that surprises ourselves. And because it surprises ourselves, it surprises other people, you know, around. Because it truly is an opportunity. Like everything is an opportunity. And that's not toxic positivity talking. Like right now we could look at what we're doing, talking in little 4 by 6 inch, you know, boxes on our screen, and we can go, oh, we've lost connection. I don't know, like I've been teaching some classes where all of a sudden, or 5K Everyday, where like literally I can be connected with people literally all around the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would not have valued that in the same way in 2019.
I think we're reestablishing how connection is defined, right? We've thought that connection had to exist in a physical sense of the word because that's what we were used to. And
Yeah.
now we have been forced to do connection in different ways, right? I would say my relationship with my mom is better than it ever has been because of the opportunity to connect in different ways. I'd love to be able to connect with her in person. My dad has Alzheimer's. We're not in a space that can happen. But we reinvent these. My best friend and I, we've been best friends since third grade. Literally, we've known each other our whole lives. She has all the secrets. I will not divulge her name. No, I'm just kidding. Those people that know me know who she is. But we established Friday in the middle of the day conversations with each other while we're making lunch for our kids because she's off work on Fridays and I'm home with my kids on Fridays. We never talked to each other when life was crazy and busy. We would go 3 months without a FaceTime, without a call. I have one of my other really good childhood friends who lives in the Bay Area. And she was like, I'm just going to FaceTime people now. Like, I'm not going to call you anymore. I need to see people. Like, FaceTime is now a regular thing that I don't even call people. Like, I want to see your face.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's made up. I don't care if it's, the other part is now we have exposed our lives in a different way too, that now like this idea of perfection or filtering of our lives in a professional sense of a word. I don't know how many times my kids have come into a client meeting and I just, like, hey mom, they're not home right now, thankfully, but like they would insert themselves into conversations. And my clients loved every second of it because they got to see a different side of me that was a mom and, a different place of like, oh, I remember what that was like, or I'm living in that same space right now. They won't go away. And it brings a different type of connection together, I think.
It's raised the value or maybe like normalize the conversation about energy. Like when we talk about intimate relationships, like how often does that intimacy stop at the idea of physical touch?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like we're getting to be intimate with people in a boardroom, or people who speak a different language that we've never spent time with, because we are almost through submission, being forced to be like, the world is beating us. Like one of the few times we could speak about us, like to a certain extent, this current reality is making us all feel something different. And we can go, so how are you? And actually desire to know how they are doing, so then we can affirm how we are doing in the same way.
Yeah, I have said this multiple times in conversation in 2020. Life transitions will always happen, but we are experiencing a giant life transition together right now. And we have, everyone is showing up to this transition in a different space with different accessibility and different experiences, but we're all experiencing it together. And most of the time when we experience life transitions, we're doing it either in a small group or alone. And now we have the opportunity to be able to talk about our real issues. Now, some people have things compounded, right? On top of,
exactly.
On top of this big transition, they're experiencing other life-changing transitions of losing loved ones and different things like that. And I think that's, you've had the ability to create a community that has supported people through those life transitions that have happened, career changes, job changes, marriages, babies, death, all of those things. I see your community just completely showing up for everyone else that they might have ran with and they might never have ran with because their schedules just didn't simply align together. How I wanted to kind of talk about those life transitions with you and how you see them playing a part going forward in the future now that we've changed these types of communication styles. do you think that we'll be able to talk about some of them differently?
I've always been an old soul. So I love listening to the things that we hear so often that we become numb to. And I think about, previous generations and the way they speak about the big things that they went through in their time. And I challenged many people on this during this year, because it never hit me until this year. When we talk about the good old days, and how it's like, oh, like I'm going to share this memory or this thing from the good old days, and it's often said with a little bit of either loving or non-loving challenge to today's world or to the future's world. And what came to mind is when we talk about the good old days in that context, what we're saying is the world is getting less good than it has been in the past. And if that's the case, where does the responsibility lie? Who is responsible for the world going in the adverse reaction from where we'd want it to? And I think that where those conversations have led to is either a fear of missteps or a fear of not having the power to positively influence one another. And I think that's the hard love gift of 2020. So many people are starting to take responsibility to understand that they don't need to. Like we know there's a lot of people who put their hands up and passively look at the world, and either because they can't find the courage to do something or it's perceivably easier to not do something, people are going, I am learning things. I am asking questions when I don't know the answer. I am seeking discomfort in a world that seems to want to sell comfort. I don't know why I still get employed as a fitness person when I do, because I walk into spaces and I go, hey, just so you know, I have no interest in making this a comfortable experience for you, because I think fitness has been set up very incorrectly. Because we look at fitness marketing, and with love, I always say fitness marketing. I've never seen fitness marketing that works, because it shows people who, in the way that we contextually quote talk about in shapeness, and it's people are already in shape and they're smiling and they're happy in the midst of the work. And I go, I don't know anyone, including those people who are fitness modeling, who are actually feeling that joy in that way in that moment. And all of a sudden we're seeing more and more opportunities to go, wow, I can be broken and have great value. I can not have the answer and still be a part of the conversation. I can be incredibly uncomfortable and be exactly where I'm supposed to be. All those things are things we never ever learned in elementary school. Yeah. We don't learn those things. We learn the opposite. And even though we have teachers who live them for us, who remind us that we are okay, that we are enough, that we are where we're supposed to be. That an F is not the end of the road, that getting sent to the principal's office does not mean you're a bad human being. All of a sudden we're starting to go, wow, the human experience is a little less efficient than we maybe set it up to be. And I think that's the big gift that we're taking from this, that we have the opportunity to respond to that.
I think I just love what you just said. It's almost this idea of a perfectionist type of lifestyle is it's okay to not be perfect, right? It's okay to not have a six pack. I mean, I'm at the healthiest space I've ever been in my life, and I'm at the heaviest weight I've ever been. But this body birthed 2 babies. and breastfed 2 babies and started a business and loved, like, I have to remind myself every day that this body has gifted me so much and I need to love on it. And I separate those. And this is probably why on social media, I share workout pictures of me in my sports bra, because I'm not a 19-year-old girl who is a size 0. And there are 19-year-old girls who aren't size 0s, but yet we lift up this image of, and even with men too, right? Like, I have plenty of men in my life who aren't, slender and have, like, the V package and like ripped abs and like all of the goodies that we like, that we just shine these lights on. And I still see so much marketing, or I have conversations with people who are like, well, I want to have this type of surgery so that I feel better about myself. And there's nothing wrong with the fact that you might want to do those things, but how do we help the inner work happen? And I think that goes with your body, that goes with your money, that goes with so many just different things in our lives, that now we can start to have these conversations too, like about your mental health, about your physical health, about your money. Like those are 3 pillars in our lives that we also don't really talk about. Like, most people don't want to talk about their money, right? They just want to, like, whoop, I'm gonna sweep that under the rug.
That's
and I'm just gonna appear to have it all together on the outside, but really I'm racking up credit card debt because I'm trying to appease to everything else that needs to happen in the world, or I'm working 3 jobs and I'm super stressed out because I'm just trying to make ends meet. And it's interesting how these things kind of align with each other. The name of the podcast is Thrive Forward. So how do we thrive forward in these conversations, JC? What is your definition of thriving? Because everyone has their own. And I think that's something that I've tried to encourage people to understand about thriving. Like, it's not just an Instagram hashtag and a pretty Pinterest picture. It is whatever you want it to be. What is it for you?
Yeah. I always look at this in the context of presence. We only ever get to exist in the moment that we're in. Yet, how often do we, okay, I'm going to unpack the past. Okay, I'm going to plan for the future. Those things are great. Unpacking and planning are not being. Those are doing verbs. We spend 99% of our time in those 2 worlds, and then 1% in the doing. And that doing is, oh, I need to get the kids. Oh, I need to do this project. Oh, I need to send this email. Oh, I need to, and we don't actually flip that context, right? Like, being in the past and being in the future are fallacies, right? We don't get to be in those places. So when we think about the act of thriving, like, thriving sounds exhausting to me. And it should be. I'll put it in the context of the idea of run again. Whenever someone says to me, it's like, oh, like, wow, like you did a half marathon, you did a marathon. Oh, I could never do that. And I'll be like, didn't you take your 4 kids to Disney World for 8 days, like 2 months ago? And they go, yeah. I go, well, let me tell you, like, I was in Vancouver a couple of years ago for a half marathon. And the day I traveled the least amount of miles was the day that I ran the half marathon. Every other day we were walking this very large city and moving here and there. And I go, I would love to know how many miles you trekked around the Walt Disney World Resort, minus the monorail rides where you get to sit down for a moment, and like lugged 4 human beings and stuff. Like, we don't think about what we are doing in the moment. Like, we don't value what's happening there. That thriving is that sometimes uncomfortable work because we feel like we're being irresponsible. Because, like, you know what, right now I'm just gonna sit down for 10 minutes. I just need to sit down for 10 minutes. And we say it with that tone. This was like, you know what, I'm gonna sit down.
Yeah, like,
for
it's
10 minutes.
Punishment, or I'm not supposed to be doing it, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's
I might
like,
be
that's
lazy.
Ooh.
I
Like,
might
I'm
be
sorry.
lazy.
Yep. Like taking a rest day is not the absence of work. Taking a rest day is an active process. There's a reason why we often feel, I say this all the time, like after I take time off, I'm so exhausted when I get back to doing again, because my body's been holding on. So what I'm feeling on the other side is that detox moment of, wow, now all the exhaustion is pouring out of me.
Mm-hmm.
But what if we stop attempting to shine things up, and we like take the time to shine in the moment? I think that's where the thriving element exists. And maybe too, as someone who has never worked in fields where like the idea of a 401k being set up for me or being like, I don't even know how to spell 401k. That's my joke when it comes to money. But like, I never lived in a world that has been set up to where those things are normalized. Mm-hmm. So like I will be one of the people, unless I'm consciously thinking about money, who when I'm 80 years old will still be working at Target, because the world didn't value the industries that I was in to go ahead and make it to where I can one day retire. Like I have to manualize that. And like you say, how many people won't do that because it's scary to go, here's something I don't know. I'm not supposed to say that out loud. No, I don't know this. Let's thrive in this moment and learn and grow a little bit.
And I've had people who work not as a financial planner, but work in the financial industry, who have literally come to me and been like, hey, don't tell anybody, but I don't know what to do here. I don't know. Like when I use when I went to buy my house, do you think I used my own brain to do that? No, my specialty is in planning. Did I know what I was high level? Sure. But I went to a mortgage advisor to have that conversation. I don't know. I did coach athletics for a while, but I am not a personal trainer. And so, I'm going to utilize other people's expertise in order to get to that space. And that's why I think it's so important that we put pride aside and have these conversations about mental health, about money, about whatever it might be in a present moment, so we can move forward, because you can't properly move forward unless you know where you are.
Yeah, that's it.
And if you don't take the time to recognize where you are, how are you going to create that thriving forward or that future or whatever you want life to look like? I think that that's so important that we focus on that presence. I love that part of it. It's actually something that I have struggled with. Like that lazy comment is something that I have personally processed in my own space, because I've always been a doer from a young age. I was somebody that had to be the responsible individual for myself. I remember being in 5th grade, getting up in the morning, having breakfast, watching the Today Show, and putting myself on the bus. Like, what 5th grader does that? Mom, I love you. You were at work. You were trying to do things but that's what I did. And my husband and I were just talking about that, because he was like, you watched the Today Show when you were a 5th grader? Anyway. But like, if we don't sit with some of those things and grow, like I had to sit with the fact that like, it's okay to just sit in the chair and watch the fireplace, or mindlessly watch something on TV if I wanted to, and not brainstorm social media planning or do a client's financial plan, or, do this task or meal prep or do that or do this. These are all things that I kept myself busy from, but wasn't sitting with that space. And I think that's so critical to do. And it's something I've learned in the quiet spaces in 2020 that it's been important for me to reflect on.
There's great value in those moments. Yeah,
absolutely. How have you, you teased about not being able to establish or spell a 401k, which I just laugh about because you literally just spelled it. For those people that literally like, wait a second, how do I spell 401k? JC spelled it for me. But you bring up a really good point that not everybody has a traditional way of saving, and how has that affected some of your personal beliefs when it comes to finances and money and wealth, as I like to refer to it?
Yeah. So two things. I mean, first of all, like it, I am the product of doing things that I feel like were important to do. So like when I was a youth director, I'm like, this is my vocation, this is my call. Like, and yes, then I'm going to coach high school tennis and direct high school theater. And yes, I am stacking up my credit cards because I refuse to live a very low quality of life when I assume that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm being a responsible adult, da, 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 da. So, I had the crash moment, 5-6 years ago where it's like, wow, I have passively existed in the system that now has driven me into being massively in debt. As a responsible, also waking up, and I was watching Gilligan's Island, but still like I was that kid, like just like when you're watching the Today Show, like I did everything right. And I've still kept that lens of going, I'm going to continue to do the things that vocationally I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, and trust that this is going to create a sustainable existence for me. But like it's in the power of asking those questions of going, I mean, the number one thing I say, and there's how many articles have we seen this year where it's like the number one thing that the top 10 CEOs have said this year, or like the grow in your leadership. It's like to say, I don't know, or to go, hey, I'm going to ask my expert on, or I'm going to tap into my network to provide a more in-depth look at, more and more. That's where I've been learning, and very much like on the other side of 2020, which very luckily, like I've been able to hustle my way through. Like 2021 is my year of going, okay, how do I start thinking about a financial, infrastructure in my life that allows me to, not have to be making reactive decisions or fear-based decisions, so I can continue to do the things that I'm going to do. I grew up in a house, youngest of 5 kids, where like my mom is the master money, like organizer, planner, saver, like person. And I go, yes. And I also had a dad who, did work at a company that was going to create some of that infrastructure for, where I go, so I don't have that. So to a certain extent, it's going to exist differently. But within that, like being this constant learner and the constant I don't know answer is definitely, providing me the starch and the confidence to go, so what am I doing about that? Because again, like what we're like, this podcast is a pluralistic look at value and wealth and knowledge and being inspired and being inspiring, and all of that goes into every single one of these conversations.
Yeah. I mean, you bring up so many good points, and I say this a lot too, because I serve many different types of professions in my clientele, but I do have a lot of time with entrepreneurs or people in the health and wellness industry. And I will say mainly because when I started as an entrepreneur, those were the spaces that loved me up, and those were the spaces that welcomed me. And I wanted to be able to give back in that space of, okay, well, these are the things that you need to do to be financially healthy. And we don't talk about them. We don't learn them in school. We don't know, like nobody would have said to you, JC, because you're doing these amazing works, you should probably think about also setting up an emergency savings or paying off these credit cards every month. Instead, when you and I went to college, there was like 19 different credit card booths up there that were like, hey, sign up for us. We're going to give you this free pizza oven. Who doesn't want a free pizza oven when you're in college? I do. Love pizza. Cook my Jack's pizza up so it doesn't taste like it was made in cardboard. But like nobody is talking about it, right? Nobody is telling, like I have conversations with my kids about money, but that's what I went to school for. My parents didn't talk to me about money because we didn't have any. So why do you talk about something you don't have? And that I just get so passionate about the aspect of being able to provide education and honestly systematic change so that individuals can have the resources to do what they love while also being financially stable, right? Because right now, well, previous to 2020, I think 2020 has kind of awakened this a little bit. We sat in this space of, I have to have a soul-sucking career so that I can have savings and I can pay this and I can pay that. I mean, I remember when I left corporate America, people were like, what are you doing? You are going to fail miserably. And I'm like, really? I don't think I'm going to fail. I think I'll be just fine. Like, I have a plan. I know what I'm going to do. Like, is it going to be hard? Sure. Isn't life hard? Like, aren't we going to have to look at things differently and pivot and ask questions and learn? Yeah, we are. But I don't have to sit in the space of being unhappy either. I can be happy and love what I'm doing while also have this. It's that and, not or type of conversation. So, sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. Rabbit hole. Not hill. What was I talking about? It's not even Friday when we're recording this. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's just what 2020 will do to you. So how do you, I have this play on forward, right? Because I think forward is present, but also with intent, present with intent. In moving forward, because I am a planner, right? And so like, how do I help people see planning while also being present? So one thing that I always do, and I think you do a really good job of this too, Daisy, is checking in with feeling and saying, okay, like, what are you feeling today? How are we going to shift into a space that makes sense for us today? So it isn't just about like, okay, these are the tasks that we need to address, but rather how do we move with purpose through the things that we need to be able to address? How do you look at moving from presence forward?
Yeah, and I'll highlight two things that you just said because it's part of my puzzle. You know, like number one, you can't talk about moving forward until you know where you are. And number two, like if we don't check in with how we're feeling, which is an ever changing mindset. You know, like I work in theater and theater education quite a bit, and I always talk about like drama exists. Being dramatic is not a needed element to be in the drama. So whenever I talk about, I use this image a lot when it comes to sustenance or nutrition, because of course everyone assumes, well, you work in fitness, what should I eat? And I go, nope, that's not my world. But I'll tell you what I eat. I eat what makes me happy, and that includes
Jack's
going
Pizza.
back to what straight up Jack's Pizza. Those little animal crackers with the pink and the white frosting.
Oh yeah.
Straight up, like I will often have a Mountain Dew cracked on the side of my computer screen while I'm leading a virtual mindfulness session. When I was a kid, like getting to go ahead and like Happy Meal it up to celebrate something. Yeah. Now I go back to what makes me happy, which is always changing. Because of course I say things like that and I go, whoa, like you, I mean, honestly, like it's funny, like I will, and I do this on purpose, every once in a while, I will Instagram this juxtaposition of like me eating a plate of broccoli because I have a taste for broccoli and a can of Pepsi. People go, oh, ha, 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 ha. And now it's like, okay, now I need to go back to count my macros and micros and the other things that I don't know anything about. Because what guides, I think, the happiest life is asking yourself, where is my happiness? Like, no, I'm not going to go ahead and have a number one crunchy, regular Baja Blast, no ice, chicken quesadilla, yes, hot sauce, please, and a side of cinnamon twist. No, I'm not going to have that. And yes, it costs $11.35. I'm not going to have that every day from Taco Bell. I will have that maybe once every 3 weeks when it's going to make me happy. And other days, I'll look like I'm like eating like Bob from Biggest Loser, or I'm training for a whatever people train for, like with the competitions, like no, like happiness is an ever changing location. So like the way I define wealth, the way I look at where I'm going next is where is happiness now and where is happiness guiding me to? And that may sound fluffy, but no, if we think about that, happiness is a very structurally sound. You can hold it in your hand, you can smell it in the air, you can see it in the people around you. I missed 0 4 a.m. runs in North Minneapolis, and I will tell you why, because I knew that's where happiness was going to be. Do I want to get up at 4 a.m.? No. Do I want to be in that environment? Oh gosh, do I ever?
Yes. Oh, it's so beautiful. I work on wealth vision statements with my clients, my wealth clients, and we talk specifically about those. Like, what is it that you want your impact to be? Not just like, what is happiness for you, but like, what is that impact that you want to make on the world? What do you want to leave the world with? What do you want the world to remember you by? What do you want the world to remember you?
So here's my nerdy fifth grader. So I made a legacy statement when I was very young, straight up. And that's
JC, I feel like you should be a financial planner.
Right. So, and this is what I said. I said, I want to live as much of my life as possible for other people and as little for myself. And through that, end up getting more out of my life than I possibly could if I was self-seeking. And again, that may sound very like selfless focused. No, there's a line, we need to embrace being selfish and we need to embrace being selfless. Because if we take the self out of those two things, we're left with less-ish. That sounds like a horrible word. I have no interest in being less-ish. So no, like I look at the world and where I can be present, where I can learn and where I can listen. And honestly, I wake up every single day full tank of energy, or not. And when I don't, I know why, and I'm still okay, and I'm still enough. But I still know that the work that I can do each day is probably going to keep me on the right course if it's placing me where I feel like I'm supposed to be.
That's wonderful. I think you have provided us with such amount of wisdom today, as I think you do every time we have a conversation together. Where can people hang out with you? Where can they join 5K Everyday Conversations? Where can they connect with you to stay in conversation?
Yeah. Hey, so JC Lippold, LIPPOLD.com is coming to life right now. But 5K Everyday Conversations on Facebook and on Instagram are places where you can tap into that vibration, into that movement. But again, like reach out, like find me on the social media platforms, because I love knowing people. I love like the amount of people who go, hey, we haven't met yet, but I love those moments, because I've never had one of those moments not lead to something. It may take that little bit of courage, and honestly, I do it all the time. I go, hey, you, I'd love to know you. Hey, what's going on? And all of a sudden people go, do we know each other? I go, not yet, but we probably should.
Yeah.
So reaching out, I'd love to connect.
Well, JC, thank you so much for spending time with us today and carving out space to share your wisdom and just your heart, because it's so clear that is what you operate in a space for. So thank you.
Shannon, right back at you. Thank you so much.